My dear friends, we are here together. We are here with each other. And I have here a little example of beauty. We are continuing the journey of 18 ideas how to be, or principles if you will, how to be kick-ass leader every day. And I want to give you actually another three because I realized it's good to practice this. And these initial 18 are really about building yourself up, being good with yourself. And then perhaps we're gonna move towards how to build a team and how to build an organization. So exciting times. But first, I want to show you these beautiful tulips. For those who know, for those who don't, it doesn't matter. I spent a lot of time in the Netherlands, more than a decade, and one thing that you notice quickly in the Netherlands, if you have been there in Keukenhof, they have beautiful tulips. They have different colors, different versions. It's a beautiful flower, and that's why I have it here next to me, because and probably it's quite in my face now, so I'm just gonna shove it away. But I want you guys to tell you that life is beautiful. And as a leader, you need to see it that way. You need to be optimistic. You need to be really thinking that in order to make a difference, you need to make a difference first with yourself. It starts with a perspective. And having a perspective is not always just nice to have, it's a must have. We live in turbulent times. We live in challenging times. And having a perspective in an organization, having view and insight into a company, into a changing situation, is a competitive advantage. And I want you to really think about your life going onward now from this perspective, that you want to be the one who has this perspective in your own life, in your own environment, in your company, that you have the higher perspective, that you are a hero, as I call it, the producer who produces, really, who when he's focused or she's focused, or when they are focused, they get stuff done. And when you loiter around, when you roam around, you really roam around, you cut yourself some slack. And for that you need trust. You need an organization where you can trust yourself, but where you can also have the freedom to trust your boss, to trust the organization, that together you can accomplish something great. And that's not easy. You need to give yourself some strong reason to do that, and you need to go through this selection. But that's a different topic. Today we talk about 3 principles, 3 ideas, how to make yourself kick-ass leader every day. And the thing is, also, it connects to the points that I was just mentioning. If you're in an organization, you want a perspective, you need to be really solid in your own shoes. A lot of times we try to help, we try to serve, and we try to make a world a better place before we actually invest in ourselves. So the first point, guys, is embrace the way of the turtle. I want to give you a little example here. Last year, was it last, I think, or the year before, I just lost track of time. With my partner, we were in Zanzibar. And for those who were there is this little island called Prison Island, and it's a sanctuary for turtles. For those who know me a little bit closer know, I love turtles. Especially what they resemble. They resemble resilience. They resemble this anti-fragile feeling of Asian animal who's been around and still keep kicking, keep going, keep living. And for that particular thing, I was really interested to go there and actually see the sanctuary, touch the turtles. And funny enough, I was fortunate to touch this. At least, according to them, it's the oldest living turtle. Guess how old it is? It was 197 years old. 197. So now, probably 199 if I'm not mistaken. It's a mesmerizing moment to touch an animal like that, don't you think? We as human beings, when we're lucky, we live past 90 years old, but touch something that is 197 years old was mesmerizing for me. And this is what we are talking about. As a leader, in order for you to really have the perspective, you need to plan the long game and play the long game, as I call. This is the substitute for the way of the turtle. I want you to really think like a turtle. Maybe not figuratively and eat leaves and cabbage all day long. If you like cabbage, no offense. But I want you to think about your journey as a leader. For yourself, making mistakes, going through anxiety, going through fears, you will need to have this resilience. You will have to have this thick skin like turtles to make sure that you can withstand anything. When you get disappointed, when somebody mistreats you, when you make a mistake, and when your boss maybe doesn't like you, or when you get fired, when you get tempted to do something bad and you do it and then you regret it. I want you to play the long game. I want you to think about where you want to go in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years and play that game. And one thing that, going back to the sanctuary in Prison Island, when you have that perspective that okay, we live in times where I probably, and you most likely, we all can live past 100 years old. The question is if you want it. A lot of people don't. But if you want that, you most likely can, because the science is improving. And for that, you need a long breath, as I call it. Or as my ex-colleague from one of the companies I work for in my career said, hey, you're gonna need a long breath. So have the long breath and cut yourself some slack. Take the pressure off. Say, you know what? If I don't do it today, I will do it tomorrow. But do it then. But know that, companies are built in decades, not days. Health is built maybe earlier, but if you want to be super healthy, you're probably gonna need to experiment. It takes time. Second point, following on that is really exercise, meditate, and journal daily. This is the trifecta, if you will. Nothing new under the sun, but again, we are talking about how to be an effective leader every day. For that means you need to do this every day. A while back, I met my acquaintance Timmy Oroth, and we do these actually lives on LinkedIn. So if you haven't heard about this, join us probably every second or first week of the month. And we talk about these principles. And I met Timmy actually in Malta, I think 2016 or 17, and I know we talked about exercise a lot back then because she was struggling with this, or she was kind of getting into it, and she was also talking about the impact on her life, on the productivity, on the way you think. Meditation is the same thing. If you haven't meditated, if you haven't prayed in your life, you have missed on something. And I definitely encourage you to really install an app. You can install a free of charge app called Insight Timer. Download or find your favorite teacher, play, sit your butt down. As Dr. Joe Dispenza says, sit your body down like an animal. Don't try to think that you need to eat, that you need to go to the bathroom, that you need to do the shopping. Eliminate that. Think and be in the moment. Don't try to, run anywhere else, and just stick to that period, rinse and repeat. And then I want you to journal, because journaling is something that helped me a lot in my career to really put what's in my head on a paper and realize, hey, it's not that bad. Actually, all my fears, all my anxieties, it's okay. It's just in this moment. But I got time. Man. And study the patterns of your thinking. My good friend Deborah Gemmell, she's an integrated wellness health coach, talks about the bumper cars, aka the wild thoughts or the nagging voice. A lot of times it's in the head, and especially if you change your career, if you break up with someone, the bumper cars come alive because they've been there. They are nagging at you left, right, all the time. I mean, we have 40, 60,000 thoughts per day. A lot of them are the same. But when you change something, the body goes in overdrive because it's like, wow, my life is different. What do I do now? I have to adjust. Oh, I could get hurt. This is the survival mind. And we need to step back. We need to gain perspective. We need to become aware again. And this is where meditation, exercise, and journaling comes into play for us to be the effective leader we want to be with ourselves. And the funny thing is, and this is what we're gonna talk probably about a series part 2, where we're gonna talk about how to build a team. When you do this with yourself, imagine what will happen with you as a leader. What energy will you irradiate? How will you deal under pressure? Maybe you first it's not gonna be beautiful, but then eventually it will become easier for you to regain perspective. Say, hey, I can do this, man. I can find a file. I can submit the declaration. I can do this really quickly now because I'm in control of myself. This is what we need to practice each and every day. And eventually it will not be so bad as it sounds. Point number 3, again, going to the 3, it's about setting challenges with yourself. We live in turbulent times, and I call it the survival of the fittest. I was born in Eastern Europe, and I was fortunate enough, now I see it that way, I wasn't seeing it always that way, to grow up on a farm. Had to wake up early, take care of the cattle, work around the house when we were rebuilding, work carrying heavy stones the whole day, cutting grass, cutting wood every summer, bringing it inside, drying it out. It's been rinse and repeat for years and years and years. But this conditioned me that tough work is okay. And I want you guys to really, in the modern times, especially why I'm saying it, because a lot of us live in cities, in apartments where, we turn on the heater, we don't have to do anything for it, we just pay the bill, obviously. And it's making us a little bit rigid, making us a little bit soft. For a lot of you, you don't like cold showers, you don't like to expose yourself to, maybe heat in a sauna. You like to be comfy in your bed. And this is why we need to constantly think about it. We need to think like a stoic. What if everything has been taken away from us right now? Are we living into the abundant mindset that we are aligned, as I call it sometimes, the universe, God, the energy that, when things go away, it will come back because you're a good human being. But if we try to obsess over stuff and control everything, things that we can't control, which is often the external environment, things will be taken and we get smacked on our face. And life will try to tell us, hey, you got to be awake. You got to be ready for the next stage. You got to be ready. And oftentimes we ask for things, and I'm going off script here, not that I really prepared the entire script, but I am thinking that we really have to listen to our inner voice. We need to listen to what's going on. And life is giving us hints, left, right, and especially if we ask, hey, I want a bigger car, I want to be stronger. You know what answers? Hard work. So changing our perspective and setting these challenges. For example, let me give you something practical. Last year, the in-laws were here, and I gained a lot of weight, probably about 10 kilos. And we were planning to go to Mexico end of the year, and I said, you know what, when they leave, with my partner, we gonna do during the week, no sweets, no alcohol, no bread. I'm mentioning bread because bread for me is a killer. I get belly, I love bread, it's addictive. Was it hard? It was. Was it easy? It wasn't. But we did it, and I lost 10 kilos before we were ready to go to Mexico. Started eating less as well, smaller portions, and I realized, hey, I'm feeling actually way better about myself. Again, this might be a silly example for some of you. If you're really focused on longevity, I probably encourage you to anyway consider fasting and all the benefits that come with it, and staying away from sweets if you can, or eating it on certain days and mostly eating 80% clean. But find your own examples, how you can challenge yourself, maybe sleep on the floor sometimes, which I'm actually considering to try out this year after reading it in a book of Stoicism from Marcus Aurelius, to just keep myself sharp. There was also an example from Robin Sharma, my favorite author, who was talking about a client he's coaching who's a billionaire and who wrote, the best-selling books and is selling so much. And then for him he said, I feel like I'm not doing so well anymore. He actually booked himself in a hostel. Imagine, a billionaire. And he was living there the entire year, and he wrote the best book of his life. And it also shows the example that this is probably why I'm a big fan, and we all as human beings are a big fan of underdogs. Because we love people who come from nothing and make it. Like when you see a Batman versus Superman, or when you see a lot of things that are sometimes unrealistic, but we really see ourselves in that, like Braveheart, the oppression, or when we see, Ukraine winning against Russia. We get inspired because we know we can do it too in our daily life. Because in the end, it's about being proud about yourself and being proud about that you follow on and follow up with yourself on integrity. You're integrous with who you are. You're aligned with your values, with your plan, with your productivity, and you do the hard things. It doesn't mean you need to be, David Goggins and do Navy SEAL training twice or 3 times and run marathon 10 times, even with a broken leg. You don't have to do it and take it to such extreme, but if you want, it's your choice. You can swim around, that planet like Ross Agley, a guy from Britain. You probably heard about him, amazing human being. He was also doing now the training series with Chris Hemsworth, and on the series Limitless. You can find it on Netflix. Amazing, incredible, and inspiring. So I want to encourage you guys with this, because this is my point. These principles should inspire you. I don't want to preach at you. I don't want to, give you false hopes and something you can't reach. But I also want to tell you, I'm doing this myself, and I've done this myself for years now. And this is why I like to talk about it, because I realize, hey, when it works for me, most likely it will work for other people. Use it, take it, put your own spin on it. But if you want to be a cool, kick-ass leader, you need to take care of yourself really well. I've seen it so often with myself as well. When I'm burned down, when I'm, tired, when I'm not resting enough, when I'm not sleeping, like we were talking in the first principles. If you haven't listened to this, join our lesson. You can join my podcast as well. Maybe you're listening to this in a podcast, maybe you're listening to this in a video version. Make sure that you really dial down on your sleep, making sure that you leave the toxic cultures and that you stress less and laugh more. Have fun. But then when you do that, you top it up. Exercise, setting challenges with yourself, making sure that you embrace the way of the turtle, that you have the long-term perspective, and you're having fun with all of this. So guys, I want to encourage you with this little inspiration, and I hope it gave you hope. It gave you a little bit blueprint again, how to be effective with yourself. Because when you're effective with yourself, you can be effective with others. So as I always say, make sure you radiate energy, and energy need to generate, so take care of your health. That's why you need to move. Make sure you manage your wellness, which really is about anxiety, stress. You take care of having fun in your life, and then leading a service-oriented life, which will make you a hero, which will elevate your game. When you network, you will increase your net worth. Because network is your net worth, as Chris Haran says. So surround yourself with awesome people, awesome leaders, and be an awesome leader yourself. People need you. So take care of yourself, and I see you very soon.